Hello, fuckos, and welcome to this episode 52 of the Chris Hunter Comedy Podcast with me, Chris Hunter. Hello, how are you doing? Are you well? I hope you are. I'm doing alright. I've got a bit of a sore throat today, so if I sound a bit weird, then that's probably why. Because you know what? It's not a normal week if I'm not feeling some kind of under the weather. Isn't that the case? That's what happens when you get older, folks. That's what happens when you hit the ripe old age of 31. You start to fall apart. Although, to be fair, I've been falling apart for easily, I don't know, a decade, 2 decades, whatever it is. That's how it goes. So, how's everyone been? I've been a busy person. Excuse me. I've been a busy person. I've just had a McDonald's milkshake to keep healthy. And it's made me rather cloggy, for those of you who are concerned about why I sound a bit weird. Yeah. It's been a busy week. I've been busy these past couple of weeks. I think I told you I was going to be doing like a talk at a university nearby about what I do professionally and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? I was really worried about it because I thought, like in my head, I thought they're going to sort of see through the con, you know, as in like they're going to already know everything I'm going to tell them. And they'll be like, oh, why is he professional? He doesn't know what he's doing. But the good news is, folks, I do. It just turns out that after years of doing it, you know stuff that you see as basic, but it's not basic. It's stuff that is quite advanced, but you just do it every day because that's what you do now. You know, so yeah, I think it's the same with any kind of skills that you might have. It seems easy to you, but you do it all the time. So, you know, it's actually a skill. So anyway, the talk went really well. The place is really cool. They have like the place that I went to, I'll try not to name names and stuff just in case anything gets weird, but they have like cars and stuff in the building. They're like a motorsports section, and they had like race cars there, and it was really, really cool. It smelled like a car dealership, which I love that smell. It's a really, really cool smell. But yeah, the actual rooms themselves, they were so awesome. They were set up really nice. All the people were super nice that I spoke to. Some really talented SOBs over there in their universitas. But I had a great time, which I'm really glad about. But now that that's done, like I've spent the past couple of weeks like preparing for like, well, between doing the ArtStation competition and doing the talk, I've had no spare time whatsoever, pretty much. So then I realised when I got closer to the time, you know what, I don't have time to do this ArtStation challenge and the talk. So unfortunately I did can the challenge, but that's okay. I had a good time doing it. I've still got some nice assets I can use from it. But yeah, the talk went well, and that's what matters. That's what was important. But now that I've got some spare time, I'd like to get back to, I'd like to get back to editing some video footage that I took from the last time I went on holiday to Japan, which was Halloween. I had lots of cool footage. I wanted to edit it all. I wanted to get it all done nice in time for, you know, still kind of being in the Halloween kind of mindset, you know. But unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do it much, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to do some nice editing. I might do some after this recording, actually. Let's see what happens, shall we? But yeah, so it's been a good time. It made me feel quite good about myself a little bit yesterday, which is a nice change, you know. I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel good about myself most of the time. And that's just how it is. That's the joys of being a creative individual. Unfortunately, because you're always wanting to create, you're always wanting to make things awesome and improve them. And usually that means that it makes you, in contrast, look worse to yourself. Does that make sense? I don't know. But hey, this isn't a therapy session. Let's move on to stuff I was going to talk about, shall we? I woke up the other day to turn on Good Morning Britain to see something that just annoyed me. I get bugged by things quite easily, but this one really peeved me off a little bit. There was somebody who was, I think they were gender neutral, which is fine. Do what you want. I don't care. But they were raising they've got a baby, and they're raising it as a gender neutral baby with gender neutral pronouns, and they're calling it a Theyby. That's right, folks. They and baby merged together into one nightmare called Theyby, which I'm not keen on. Again, it doesn't matter what I think. I'm just an idiot doing a podcast. They can do whatever the fuck they like. They're the parents. They can do it. That's fine. But I personally, my opinion, doesn't matter. Don't got to take it personally. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff, you know. It's whatever. You do you, boo. But just let your baby just be a baby. Let them get old enough to decide stuff for themselves. And then, hey, they want to do that stuff, that's fine. If they hit the ripe old age of 16 or 18 and be like, hey, you know what, mama or papa or they parents, I don't. What do you call gender neutral parents if you're the child? Just guardian. That's kind of cold, isn't it? I don't know. Let's see. What could we call them? Can't call them mum. Can't call them dad. So they is too impersonal. It is definitely too impersonal. It's just straight up rude. Happy it day. It's not nice. What could we call them? Let's see. Gender neutral. Santa, maybe? Santa 1 and Santa 2? I don't know. Write in. Let me know if you've got any suggestions for gender neutral parent names. I'm really curious about that one. But anyway, yeah, what the hell was I saying? Yeah, let them get to the ripe old age of like 16 or 18 or whatever, and they say, hey, parent figure in my life, I wish to be the other gender, not the one that I currently am. And the parent will say, okay, cool. You whip off them jeans, you whack on that dress. Then again, that's going with gender stereotypes. You do what you want to do. To be fair, it doesn't matter, does it? Everybody, just be yourselves. Be who you want to be. Be who you think you are. That's fine. One thing that does bug me, though, is when people complain about you just sort of, I don't want to say assuming their gender, but you know what I mean. Like, there's 2/3, like, biological genders. So unless you're lining up with the two kind of main ones, people are going to assume that's what you are. And that's an acceptable thing to, just accept the assumption. It's what you look like. It's what we're guessing. So if you get pissed off because we got it wrong, then I'm sorry. Now we know we won't get it wrong again. That's just how things work, isn't it? You give them the information, they can run with it, they can go with it. But if they don't know the information, how are they going to do anything with it, But yeah, the whole Theyby thing, just for some reason, words like that just bug the hell out of me. Theyby. Just let the child be a child. Don't worry about all this pronoun stuff. Don't put your stuff on them. Just let them grow up and decide things for themselves. Or, feel free to watch a child get harassed a lot in school because you're making them stand out a lot. I agree with standing out of the crowd. But when it comes to things like, I think, younger school and stuff like that, it's really tough to stand out. Standing out age is like sort of teenage years. That's when you really do start to form as a person, not just as somebody's child. Does that make sense? So yeah, I think leave them be for a little bit. Then support them in their decisions in the future that they've made themselves. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a parent. I don't have a plan to be. So take my advice and shove it down the toilet if you like. I really don't mind. So I watched a thing the other day. I was on the old YouTubes, and it was kind of it wasn't a clickbaity video, but it was definitely something I wouldn't have normally have watched. It was recommended to me, but it's not something I normally click on. But it was interesting. It ended up being an interesting series. I ended up watching like 14 videos that night by this one guy. And it's somebody who I forget his name now. Sorry, I've just forgot his name completely. But basically, he does videos where he has to survive. He lives in New York, and he has to survive for 24 hours on $1. That's right, $1. That's all he's got for all his food and travel and everything for the day. $1 measly. And I thought, well, there's no chance he can do that. He had to do it for 7 days for $1 a day. And you know what? He bloody well did it. And it was really inspiring because he did things like he used apps to get like free food and stuff from certain places. Or for example, I think it was Krispy Kreme or someone. You sign up for the email newsletter, you get a free coffee. Well, guess what, folks? It's free to make an email address. You can make them in seconds. So, sorry, I've got hiccups. The milkshake. So he did stuff like that and got free food. And it was really good. And then he did the same thing, but in UK cities. So we went to Glasgow, I think Edinburgh, Manchester, Liverpool. And he did that for free. That one was free. So we went and he only got like samples from places. Like he went to like Nespresso, got himself a nice free coffee. He went to... we got this app. I don't know what it was called, but it was an app where basically it's like Olio, maybe? Something like that. Olio? I don't know. But anyway, it's if you've got food left over, then you put it on this app and somebody nearby can come and just collect it for free. Like, for example, say you bought some vegetable oil because you needed it to deep fry something, but you've used what you need to use and you've still got half a bottle left. And you're not going to use it. Well, you put it on the app and then somebody can come and collect it. And hey, they got some free veggie oil, bitch. So he used this app whilst he was in Glasgow, I think it was. And so he kind of hit the jackpot, to be fair. Somebody had put on a bag of Marks and Spencer's sandwiches. Not just any sandwiches. These are Marks and Spencer's sandwiches. There was 3 packets of unopened ones and one that had one sandwich eaten from it, which is weird. But that's what it was. So he got them, and some fruit, I think, was in there. And that was all completely free. And that was enough to do him for the whole day and then a bit of the next day. So he kind of looked out there. But it was fascinating to watch, and it kind of inspired me. It inspired me to try and be a bit cheaper, especially this year when I'm trying to save. So rather than spending like £3.50 on a meal deal at lunch, I thought, hello, Mr. Co-op, I'm going to see what I can get for you for cheap. And I remembered, I used to have soup at work quite often as like my lunch thing. So I have like a big mug on my desk. It's a soup mug. It's got one of those lids where you snap the lid on properly, but it's got like a cool little air vent on it so that it doesn't splatter the microwave, but it also doesn't blow up because it's sealed. Because it's not sealed. It has a little vent. So anyway, yeah, I bought... I thought I'll go and see how much tins of soup are and see what I can do. And I thought to myself, I'm going to try and see if I can spend less than £1 today on my lunch, which I know isn't as big a deal as spending £1 for your whole day like the guy in the video did. But, I'm not trying to copy him. I was just being inspired by him. So I thought, yeah, £1 lunch, that's reasonable. Because if I spend £3.50 on my lunch, like I could spend £1 a day on my lunch and still be £1 cheaper than I would have been buying one day's lunch the week before. Does that make sense? Are there any mathematicians in the room? So I thought about that and then I watched it. No, I didn't watch it. I looked and I found myself some soup. Delicious, tasty Scotch broth for 55 pence. 55 pence, people. So I bought that. I ate that. I felt good about myself. I'd eaten some nice food. It was fairly filling. It was kind of good for me. It had vegetables in it and such. And it was 55 freaking pence. So not only did I manage to do it under £1 for that lunch, I did it with change. And today I did the same thing, except today I thought I'd splash out a little bit. I went to the soup aisle. I got myself a soup. I then went to the bakery section with the fresh baked produce. And I got myself a lovely, lovely little artisanal barm cake, or whatever you call it. A crusty roll for 35 pence. Still less than £1 for my entire lunch. And it was filling. It was tasty. And I was a happy little worker bee. So I recommend to you guys, if you are working somewhere like an office or whatever, where you've got access to a microwave and a bowl, ditch the sandwiches and the meal deals. Get yourself a tin of soup and a bread roll. You're sorted. It's a bit healthier. It's a lot cheaper. You might feel better from it. I don't know. But in these kind of days where it's windy and stuff, it's nice to just get a nice warm meal. You know what I mean? Rather than getting some sandwiches with a bit of tuna, bit of sweet corn. No. Get out of it, you. You want soup. Hiccups, go away. Yes, so it was good. It was tasty and I was happy about it. Speaking of being happy, I've just got back from the cinema, which makes me happy. Usually I'm a bit too busy to get to the cinema, but it's been nice because the presentation was yesterday. It meant that I was home in time to go to the cinema with Charlie and her dad last night. And I also went today with Charlie and her mum. So that was a nice little treat. I don't normally get to do that. 2 in 2 days. So yesterday I went to watch Captain Marvel, which I really enjoyed actually. I think I enjoyed it a lot as well because of the fact that it's set in the 90s. And I love 90s stuff. I'm a massive fan of like 90s nostalgia. The soundtrack was awesome. It was all stuff that I loved from back in the day. And the film itself was great. That Brie Larson, is that her name? The woman who played Captain Marvel. I've never seen her in anything before. I don't think anyway. But she looks like Amy Poehler. So every time, like, I'd see her in the film and I kind of felt like I knew of her because I'd watched so much Parks and Recreation in the past. And it was a nice, comforting film, if that makes sense. Funny as well. It's got some really funny bits in it. And then today we went to watch Instant Family, which I normally wouldn't have watched that sort of film. But Tom Segura is in it, who, for those of you who don't know, he's an American comedian who's brilliant. He's really, really good. He's one of the favourite ones I've discovered over the past few years. And his wife, Christina Pazsitzky, is also a headlining comedian in America. And they both together have a podcast called Your Mum's House, or Your Mom's House is the actual spelling of it. And it's really funny. They're both kind of sick in the head. And that's why I like them, because they remind me a bit of me and Charlie. So Christina's always talking about brown talk, as she calls it, which is talking about poopies and dookies and such, and farts. They even have a fart mic on the podcast, which is classy. Got to keep it classy. Whereas Tom likes to laugh maniacally at people in pain, watches fail videos and stuff. And he was crying laughing before when I was listening because somebody was snowboarding. And they tried to jump a rail, and instead of jumping the rail, they kind of jumped just before it and then slammed their back into it instead. And then you could hear them, whilst they're in the sky before the jump, you could hear them go, oh, fuck, because they mistimed it. And they slammed into the thing, and all you heard was, ah, ah. And it shouldn't have been funny, but it was the way that it was presented. But Tom was crying, laughing. So then to see him afterwards in this instant family film as a possible potential future parent trying to adopt or conceive or whatever it was that he was doing specifically, it was kind of a weird little contrast, but I liked it, and he was really good in it. Apparently, as far as I know, it's one of his first major film roles, so it was good. He wasn't just playing the fat friend, which is what a lot of stand-ups end up doing. I'm not calling you fat Tommy Buns, I'm just saying in general, it's how comedians are normally perceived in films. They normally end up being the fat friend or the goofy neighbour. But no, it was a good role for him. I really enjoyed watching it. And it's also a good film. I think it spreads a good message about adopting over, I've always felt this way, always felt this way, that if people want kids, go out and adopt one. There's fucking millions of the buggers. There's no point polluting the earth with your seed just because, it's mine, I feel special about it. No, go and adopt one. Don't be a jebend. Do it. But this film was really good, and it's kind of helped solidify things, when you're watching it and you're thinking, oh, but what would you do in these struggling situations or these ones? And they work through it, and they kind of, it helps people think about, adoption being a real option for them. So hopefully some people out there will be inspired and they'll go help some poor sod who's gone through the system so many times they can't even spell their own name. So that'd be nice. So yeah, on to slightly different things. The weather. Oh, it was the weather. Oh, he's an old man when he's talking about the weather. Now, this weekend, it was fucking ridiculous. It's still kind of windy now, but we had a really severe wind, and out of nowhere, there was hail on, I think it was Saturday. But yeah, I had to go into the attic for something whilst it was a big storm going on, and it was weird, because whilst up there, it was really windy, in the attic, through, the side of the roof and stuff. But, my God, the sound. You could just hear the house getting battered by the wind. And I thought, I kind of felt like I was going to be in The Wizard of Oz any second. The house was just going to be uprooted and flung off. And then the hail started hitting the roof, and it was just it was absolutely mental how bad it seemed from inside the roof. But it was fine. Luckily, everything's still on. All the roof tiles are still there. So I'm beating you, weather. I'm bloody beating you. That's how it works in this household. You come at me, I'll bloody have you. And then, let's see. This Thursday, folks, it is the Video Game BAFTAs. You can watch them online. I highly recommend it. It's an awesome ceremony. And, best news of all, Dara O'Brien is back as the host. Yes! Yay! Last year he wasn't for some reason. It was the other Dara. Is it Dara? Whatever the guy's name is from Britain's Got Talent. I think he was the host last year. And I sincerely feel like it was just a wrong booking. Somebody was like, go and book Dara for this year's BAFTAs. And they're like, okay. And they went along and they went to the agency. Hello, can I have Dara from the telly, please? And they went, yeah, you mean the Dara from the Britain's Got Talent? Yes, please. Okay, here he is. And then they sent the wrong Dara. I sincerely feel like that's what happened, because Dara O'Brien has always been the host of the BAFTA games, as far as I know. He's a massive game fan. Hell, he had Go 8-Bit for how long? And then Dave went and fucked up by stopping that, which was stupid, Dave. Yeah, Dave, I'm talking to you. Yeah, so it's good to see him back. And I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't think we've got any nominations in there this year, but that's fine. We don't need them every year. So yeah, go watch that, folks, on Thursday night. You can live stream it on YouTube. I think it's on Twitch. It's on, it's on Facebook and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I think that might be pretty much me for this week, folks. I was gonna ask some stuff, but you know what? I might ask it next week. So yes, I hope you all have yourselves a merry little Christmas, and by that I mean have a bloody good week, and I will see all you beautiful bastards next week. Bye bye now.